Henry Ford had once been voted the greatest man in history, after Napoleon Bonaparte and Jesus Christ. Perhaps Americans saw in him what they liked best in themselves in 1927. A millionaire Huck Finn, a shy, awkward farm boy turned automaker who hated laziness and disorder, labor unions, and Wall Street bankers. A prankster. He was the living symbol of power, prosperity, and America's faith in every man for himself, in that time before the Great Depression, when captains of industry mattered more than presidents. Back in 1914, Ford had revolutionized assembly line production, and to keep his workers from quitting, he announced he would raise their pay to a generous $5 a day, twice what they earned before, and twice what they could earn at any other auto company. It was a simple American bargain: security and high wages in exchange for hard work.
The legend of Henry Ford, of course, was greatly embellished by his offer of $5 a day, and the word of that penetrated the most remote mountain village in West Virginia and Kentucky and Tennessee, and the Rooster Brothers heard about the $5 a day in Wheeling too, and I can tell you it looked mighty good.
They came to Detroit in hopes of a life they could find nowhere else. Ford workers enjoyed company picnics, could live in company housing, and even buy the Ford cars they produced. High wages paid off in high production and high profits for the company.
My family moved to Detroit in 1927 from Columbus, Ohio. I didn't like Detroit when I first moved. In fact, I ran away 3 times, went back to Columbus, Ohio. But my daddy finally convinced me the 3rd time that I had to stay. And Detroit at that time was a booming town. Businesses were booming, cars were being bought, and you had the big bands, you had the dance halls. Everything was going great.
My father and uncle arrived in Detroit in 1926 from Mexico via Kansas City in a Model T. People came from Guanajuato, San Luis Potosí, of course, Mexico City.
And in our neighborhood, I know of no kid that I associated with where their parents were born in America. Nobody.
We had the Poles, we had the Lithuanians, we had Finnish, we had Scotch, we had Italian.
In great waves of migration from Europe and the American South, the hopeful had found their way to Detroit's thriving ethnic neighborhoods. They had been Ukrainian peasants and Alabama sharecroppers. Now they were auto workers, 50,000 strong at Ford's River Rouge factory, the largest industrial complex in history. Here was a strange new world: thundering forges, the huge foundry and powerhouse, the endless miles of assembly line. They called it the Cathedral of Industry, and here, like clockwork, they made 4 cars every minute, 240 an hour, 6,000 Fords a day. The heart of American industry was Detroit, and the heart of Detroit was Henry Ford's Rouge.